without any further ado, Ed Deutchlander.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, thank you. It's a real honor to spend the next 45 minutes with you. What I'll do this afternoon to start things off is I just want to walk through a couple items that you had passed out. I'll be discussing today from this handout. This is some leadership and success principles that really, over my entire life, but specifically probably over the past 15 years, I've been collecting. And these are observations, again, lessons that I've learned from mentors, from several of you in this very room, and applied them to my life. We teach these principles are permeated throughout our firm. Our advisors use these principles, and they use them with their clients. And today what I'll do is, obviously we're not going to go through all 80 some of them together, but I'm going to pick about 10 or so in our time together and hopefully apply a couple applications. One application being, how does this principle apply to your practice? And then also, how can this principle apply to your clients' lives and the wonderful work that you're doing every single day with them? There's a little, towards the end, I'll wrap up with a story. You have some PowerPoint slides and some pictures there of the story. And then you should have received 2 envelopes and 2 pieces of paper. And at the very end, we will have a goal-setting exercise that we'll go through. So those are the handouts that you have in front of you. I want to get started today by sharing a story which I think sets the stage on a lot of the experiences that we go through in life. And it's a story of a gentleman who owns a fish market. And this fish market is on the waterfront. And the fish market has a very simple sign over it that depicts the simplicity of the fish market. And it says, "Fresh fish for sale." And over time, some patrons of his suggest that perhaps he remove the word fresh from his sign, because they mention that we know you're on the waterfront, we know you go out and make a daily catch, so there's really no need to have that word fresh on the sign. So he thinks about it and he removes the word fresh. So now the sign simply reads, "Fish for sale." Some more time elapses, and some patrons approach him again and suggest that maybe you should remove the word "for sale" from your sign, because we know you're a for-profit business. We know you sell fish and seafood here. So is that really necessary? And he thinks about it, and he says, well, it saves some maintenance, some paint, whatever. So he removes the word "for sale." So now the sign has one simple word there, fish. Well, you see where this is going. The patrons again approach him and suggest that maybe he removed the word fish, because after all, everyone knows he sells fish there. They smell the aroma as they're walking down the pier and all that stuff. So he says, all right, very well, and he eliminates that. 6 months later, guess what happened to that fish market? It was done. It was out of business. I share that story for a couple reasons, because to me that story captures a very simple principle which I think causes so many issues and challenges and struggles in all of our lives, and that is, it is the slow erosion of the fundamentals that ultimately leads to individuals not hitting their goals. And that's what you saw there. It was the slow erosion of having the sign there that led to that fish market's demise. Well, when we look at our own practices, oftentimes it's because the fundamentals aren't kept intact. We haven't oftentimes mastered and become brilliant on the basics, if you will. There's this slow erosion of the fundamentals, which eventually allows us and causes us perhaps not to hit those lofty goals and objectives that we set out every single day. If you think about our clients, what is it that perhaps prohibits them from reaching financial independence? What is it perhaps that has them from not reaching those goals and objectives that you're every single day hand-holding and ushering, helping them trying to accomplish? It's not some massive event typically. It's the slow erosion of the fundamentals. Wasn't insuring themselves properly, wasn't saving enough money. All these little things, that's what we do every single day. So it's just a powerful story reminder that if we can stay focused and brilliant on the basics and not have this slow erosion and master the fundamentals, whether it be in our practices and teaching our clients the fundamentals. Because we often get confused. This business and what we do on a daily basis I'd say most of us would say conceptually, it's fairly simple to understand. Very hard to do though, right? For a client to reach financial independence, insure themselves properly, right? Form good habits, save for the future. Pretty simple to understand. But is that hard to do? Of course it is. In this day and age, with at every way you look, ways to depart from your hard-earned money that are perhaps much more short-term focus, gratification, and long-term focus, there's no question. There's no question. Any of you ever wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and turn on the TV set? Yeah. What's on TV at 3 o'clock in the morning? Infomercials. And what are the most popular infomercials? What are they trying to sell?
Weight loss.
Weight loss. That's right. You know what? Physical fitness is simple to understand. Exercise, eat less calories than you can burn more calories than you can consume. This is pretty simple to understand. But is it hard to do to stay physically fit? Of course it is. It's very hard to do. So who's doing it? By the way, all those systems, they all work if you do them. I mean, you eat 1,500 calories a day, you work out for like a maniac for an hour, you're going to look great in 90 days. I mean, but the hard part's the implementation, the execution, doing it. The first one I want to hit on your sheet going to this is number 71. Number 71 is the law of limited performance. And the law of limited performance is this. It is one will rise to the level of expectations set forth by their leader, by their coach, by their mentor, by their teacher, by their parent, by their financial advisor. You fill in the blank. One will rise to the level of expectations set forth by the level of their leader, and they will gravitate towards that. And it comes down to the age-old adage of are you the thermostat or are you the thermometer when it comes to relationships that we have with our clients. And for that matter, anyone in our lives that we have a responsibility and an obligation to lead. And that is, what's the difference between a thermostat and a thermometer? Well, first of all, what's a thermometer's primary responsibility? What's a thermometer designed to do? Read the temperature, reflect the temperature. What's a thermostat designed to do? To set it, to establish it. So we have to ask ourselves, okay, what are we doing with our own practices? What are we doing with our clients? Because they will gravitate. The advisors the most successful advisors that I've seen out there, they set the expectations. They walk the clients through the acceptable levels of insuring themselves properly. They set the level of savings that they're truly going to need to put aside if they really have the goal of reaching financial independence and not outliving their money, because that's the concern everyone has today, right? They don't want to outlive their money. So it's the law of limited performance. We have to look in the mirror and say, are we more the thermostat or more the thermometers? The more we can stay on that thermostat path, the more success we're going to have. The next one I want to hit on is number 31, and that is Goethe's Creed. This is the most powerful quote that I've ever heard. This could be on my tombstone, and I'd be happy. I don't need a date, my name, loving husband, father, any of those things. If all it had was this, is if I accept you for who you are, I will make you worse. However, if I treat you as though what you're capable of becoming, I will help you become that. If I accept you for who you are, I will make you worse. However, if I treat you as though what you are capable of becoming, I will help you become that. If you think about that quote, if you think about the people in your life that have meant something to you, that have helped you accomplish things that you'll never forget, they did not accept you for who you were. Those are the people who saw potential in you. Those are the people who then, with that potential, began to treat you in a manner which was in alignment with your potential. They treated you in terms of what you were capable of becoming. And what happened? You then became that. That's what we do as advisors with our clients. We have a choice to make, and that is, are we going to accept that client right now for who they are when we meet them for the first time? Well, chances are, financially, they're here, and their goal is to get here financially. Insurance-wise, their protection levels are where? Probably here. In order to make sure that when the uncertainties of life occur, that they stay the course, we got to insure them up to here. It's our obligation, our commitment to not accept them from who they are, but treat them in terms of what they're capable of becoming. And this is some of the very language that we use. These phrases, these principles are oftentimes weaved into our conversations to let them understand that we're going to have some courageous conversations, if you will. But that's our job. That's our commitment. You didn't come here today to stay where you're currently at. You came in, and the reason we're going to embark on this relationship and this journey together is because there's a lot of special things that you want to accomplish in your lifetime. And we can do it, but we need cooperation, and I have to do my job properly. Make sense? All right. The next one I want to spend a minute on is number 4. Watch A&E. If you want to become successful, watch A&E. I'm not talking about the cable station, Arts and Entertainment. I'm sure it's fine. I don't watch a lot of TV, but I like to play on words here. I'm talking about watch your attitude. That's what the A stands for. And watch your effort. That's what the E stands for. If you look at things you have absolute, complete control over in your life, you will find out there's really only about 2 things you have complete control over. That's number 1, your attitude, right? We always control our attitude. Now, let's face it, there's days our attitude isn't very good. We're human, it's going to happen. But we have control over it. We determine to what degree outside influence will dictate our attitude. We also always have control over the effort we put forth in any endeavor we pursue. We have complete control over that. So knowing that those are really the only 2 things we have complete control over, we have to ask ourselves, so what else is there? I would argue there's a lot of things out there we have influence over, but merely influence. Do you have complete control whether or not the client agrees with your recommendations? No. You have influence, but you don't have complete control. And most things in this world, interesting enough, we have no control over. None whatsoever. But when you think about, on a daily basis, where we put our precious time and energy and where we occupy our mind, it's typically in the camp of things we have no control over or things we have a little influence over, at the neglect and expense over the 2 things we have absolute complete control over, our attitude and our effort. So keep that in mind. Talk to clients about that. Clients have control over their attitude. Can we help a client's attitude towards their financial future improve? We sure can. It's called education. Showing them the importance, teaching them these good habits. And with that education, they'll form a better attitude. And effort. Clients have to put forth the effort. That effort is going to come in the form of premiums and investable dollars and those sacrifices that they have to make today in order to ensure that they reach those lofty goals and objectives later on. So they have to have a good attitude, and they have to put forth the effort for this plan, this journey around together to come to fruition. The next one I want to hit on is number 3, and that is this time priority management. I'd ask all of you right now, if you could, just take out your pen and write down on a piece of paper the word time management. Just take 10 seconds and write that down. It'll also give me a chance to grab a drink of water. Excuse me. Thanks. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to do what's right on that little piece of paper there. I want you then to X out the word time. Cross it out. And now I want you to write above that priority. There's a little misnomer. There's really no such thing as time management. Time is going to move on with or without us. And we've been together now all of about an hour, 11 to 12, half an hour now. And it comes down to how we elect to use that time. And that's priorities. And what are the priorities in your life? What are the priorities in your practice? As we look at our advisors, they go through an exercise at our firm which helps them focus on their priorities. And you might want to consider this exercise this time of year as you do some reflection and determining, what were the lessons I learned in 2012? Experiences, life is our greatest teacher. Ask yourself, what lessons did I learn in 2012? What was the greatest lesson I learned business-wise? What was the greatest lesson I learned personally? And from that, learn from that for 2013. But look at your practice and list out the 15 to 20 key activities that have to occur in your practice for it to function properly. There's about 15 to 20 key activities. List those activities out and then rank them according to your skill set and to your desire to do them. So number one might be meeting with clients. I'm sure that's probably going to be pretty high on your list for most of you. That's right here in this business. Spending time educating clients on the importance of the things, the work that we're doing. Number 20 on that list might be placing securities trades. It might be entering data into whatever software program you're using for your financial planning, whatever it is. But those 20 things, you know what you have to do? You have to focus on your top 4 or 5. And you know what number 5 through 20 is? That's the job description now for the team that you need to surround yourself with to make sure your plane's always in the air so you run a productive, highly impactful, and profitable practice. But that's priority management, how you elect to prioritize and where you're going to spend and use that time. Make sense? Great. Next we're going to move on to is number 53. That is the common denominator of success. Many of you in here probably know what this is. If anyone in here, do they know what the common denominator of success is? If so, if you're willing, if you're courageous enough to maybe share it out loud, if you get close enough, I'll send you a book. But who wants to take a stab? I saw your hand up first back there. Yes, what's the common denominator of success? Great job, great job. Very close, very close. You missed one key word, but it was close enough. That's right. Successful people have formed the habit of doing things failures don't like to do. It does not matter what endeavor a person pursues. The common denominator of success across all boards is successful people have formed the habit of doing things failures don't like to do. Nowhere does it say that they enjoy doing those things. They probably despise them more than the failure. But here's the difference between a successful person and a person who doesn't reach their goals and objectives, and that is the successful person understands the difference between forming the habit, because with the formation of the habit, the outcome will be pleasurable results. It's this pursuit of what our world teaches us. You can have both. You can have your cake and eat it too, right? You can't. You really can't. You make a choice, and that choice is, do I accept pleasurable methods, or do I want to have pleasurable results? Any of you runners in here? Any runners? What's the furthest distance you've ever ran? Any big races? No. No?
Just personal, like 8 miles or something.
8 miles, 10 miles, you?
26.2.
A marathon.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Let me ask you this. Is there any pleasurable way to train for a marathon? Because if there is, please share. I'd like to know. A few other people in this room, the world might. You could do very well selling this strategy. There's no such thing. But crossing that finish line, 26.2 miles there, when you crossed that finish line, was that a pleasurable result? It was amazing. Exactly, it was amazing. And that's the choices we make as advisors. Well, the habits, it's the habit formation. I have the luxury, I have the privilege, the honor of seeing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of practices. And let me tell you, you know what the big difference is? The habits that are occurring and formed by those advisors and their practices. And you know what? Every single day we see it with our clients. What separates the client who protects himself properly and reaches their financial goals and objectives versus the one who doesn't? Would you say it's habits? That's right. It was the habits of saving and protecting themselves. And who is the one that helped them form that habit? Every single one of you in this room. That's the business we're in. We're not in the business of managing money. We're in the business of habit formation and behavior modification. That's our true business. The money side of it's secondary. And to share that with the client. That's really my job, to help you form the right habits financially. That's what have the behavior modification that's going to need to occur. Because there will be times where you are going to get scared, and rightfully so, when that market drops. But is that the right behavior to sell at that time? We all know better. The very exact opposite behavior has to occur at that time. That's the time to double down, invest more. Dollar cost averaging, all these wonderful things that we have the chance to teach. So this common area of success, sharing this principle with clients, and by the way, this is Albert Gray, 1940, NAIFA presidential address. This was his speech. I hope all of you get the chance to read it. You can get right through NAIFA. Wonderful little blue book, costs $1. You might want to give it to your clients and say that this is kind of my job, my role, my responsibility. All right? Next one I want to touch on is number 15. Always be a little bit out of control. What is that all about? This is something I learned. First of all, who feels like that just kind of described their life a little bit? You know what? Good for you. And I hope 120 seconds from now, you're going to be real proud that you raised your hand, because you should feel a little bit out of control. And here's why. I learned this from Mario Andretti, the infamous race car driver, and they were asking him what he attributed his prolific race car career to, his racing career to. And he said, the reason I was such a successful race car driver is whenever I felt like I had complete control over the race car, I knew I wasn't going fast enough. I always wanted to be a little bit out of control. And when I heard that, I'm like, wow, that is profound. That isn't about race car driving, people. You know what that's about? It's about life. That's about life. That's telling you right then and there, if you ever get to the point in your life where you feel like, I got everything under control, that's okay. Enjoy it for like 10 minutes. And then get back at it. And then, because when you feel a little bit, that's the key word, a little bit out of control. Not to the point where you crash the car into the side wall and blow up. And you don't want to be so out of control, doing so much with your life, trying to pursue so many activities and things where things start slipping and you're not effective. But you want to have that balance where you always feel a bit out of control, because you know that's telling you're pushing yourself. You're taking the God-given talent you have and maximizing it. And that hopefully can serve to help you build your practice and look at your practice. You want to have real problems. What are real problems when your practice starts getting a little bit out of control? Well, maybe it's, okay, phone calls don't get returned maybe as quick as you want them to. Why is that? Because you got a lot of calls. Maybe perhaps you got some issues with underwriting occasionally. Maybe some applications. Give me the problems of real life than imaginary ones. Than not having that activity. The problems of not having enough calls to make. The problems of perhaps not having enough business in underwriting. You want to be a little bit out of control. Embrace it. It's telling you that you're doing the right things, and you're going to reach the next levels. All right, moving on. Another principle we'll hit on here is number 17, pressure versus stress. Oh, by the way, real quick, the application on that last one with your clients, share that with your clients. Trust me, their lives feel out of control. All the things they got to do financially, it's going to feel like that a little bit. But that's okay. We're going to be putting dollars to all these different areas. And you got your long-term care premiums, you got your disability, you got your life, you have your investments programs and all this stuff. It's going to feel a bit out of control sometimes. But that's all right, because we're going to get to the goal then. Moving on to pressure versus stress, number 17. Big difference here. Big difference between pressure and stress. Pressure is unavoidable. Pressure is around us at all times. We live in a world of pressure. Atmospheric pressure, barometric pressure, blood pressure. That's just a part of life. Stress is different. Stress is something you experience when you're not prepared. Pressure is unavoidable. You will have pressure situations in your life. You will, your clients will. Accept that. Understand the difference though. Stress is what you experience when you're not prepared for those pressure situations. Do your clients have the pressure of not outliving their money? Sure do. It's unavoidable. When do they get stressed about that? When they start realizing that they're probably not prepared properly. Can you alleviate a stressful situation? You sure can. By helping them form the right habits, by modifying their behavior, by doing the great work that you do every single day. So we can alleviate the stress, but they will have the pressure. Just like us, we have the pressure of running successful businesses, right? That pressure's there. We elected it. Don't get upset. We chose it. We looked in the mirror one day and said, this is the path, this is the calling in life we want to go after. Are there going to be stressful times? Sure there's going to be stressful times. But the goal is to be prepared for those stressful times. Make sense? Great. The next one we'll hit on is number 19. 19. Leader first, friend second. This is something that I learned from Bobby Knight. Many of you might recognize the name. Just recently was the all-time winningest coach till the person he mentored, Mike Krzyzewski, passed him, I think, last year. But for many years, the winningest all-time coach in NCAA basketball history, they were asking him what his observations were in coaching many student athletes over the years. And he shared this. He said, one of my biggest observations has been that I have watched these student athletes over time, and I've discovered that when their parents are their kids' friends first, I realize they end up being a parent to that student athlete for the rest of that kid's adult life. And I've noticed that when they are the kid's parent first, they end up being that child's friend the rest of their adult life. A lot of truth in that, isn't it? So take away the word parent there and put in the word leader. And when you are a leader first in someone's life, specifically the roles we play as financial advisors, there's a place at a time to be their friend, and we will become friends. But if you're their friend first for the rest of the relationship you have with that person, it's going to be difficult to be that leader in their eyes. Versus if you're that financial leader first, if you establish a relationship around, I have a goal, an objective, and an obligation and commitment to help you reach your goals, they're going to appreciate that, and you're going to have a very strong long-term relationship that's going to develop into a friendship around that. So remember, be the leader first, friend second. And that has applications in a lot of areas in our lives, I would suggest as well. The next one I want to hit on is number 20, the 6 rules of business. What are the 6 rules of business? These are pretty complicated. All right? You ready for the first one? Say please and thank you.
Please, thank you.
Please and thank you. That's it. Say please and thank you. What's that all about? That's about having a great customer service model, treating people with respect, being a responsible business owner, which all of you are. Say please and thank you. But how often do we see in our society and businesses today that very basic, remember what we started on? Be brilliant on the basic, the slow erosion of the fundamentals. Do you think that's violated a lot today in our world? Yeah. That's the first rule of business. The next one, be 5 minutes early. What's that all about? You know what the deeper underlying message there is? Preparation. When you're 5 minutes early for something, you're there. You're prepared. You have the chance to become disposed and maximize that opportunity. Versus if you're late for something, where's your mindset at? You're trying to figure out what you missed. You're trying to not be disruptive. Very different. So just remember, be 5 minutes early, literally, figuratively, be prepared for the situations you're in. Next is the third rule of business, finish what you start. Who's guilty of this? Who has had some great ideas these visions of grandeur. You get excited, you start putting a plan together, you start working the plan a little bit, you lose a little excitement, you lose a little momentum. You don't do a few things for a few days, and before long, that quest you were on all of a sudden kind of falls by the wayside. Anyone ever guilty of that? Yeah. Try to really think things through and only commit to things that you're fully committed to finishing. Am I going to follow this all the way through? If so, then it warrants the time and energy to begin that journey right now. If not, maybe we should pursue something else, something different. Ask your clients that. Are we going to finish what we start? The good work that you begin with. Because that plan you put together initially is in its infancy stages. That plan, the strategies, the products, the services, the things that you're going to be doing for them, 5, 10, 15, 20, are going to be very different. But we got to finish this thing. This is just the start. Make sense? Finish what you start. The fourth one, keep your promises. Keep your promises. So be careful what you promise. Be very selective, because that's going to come back then to your integrity. And that's what you have to protect so much. The fifth one, have a critical number. Have a critical number. And a critical number is the number that makes your business work. That's it. It's reverse engineering and identifying one leading indicator that you know, if I hit this, I can predict the outcome. So some examples might be, we have our number 2 advisor in our firm has had the same critical number for 15 years, and it is 30 forward appointments. That's it. That's all he monitors. If I have 30 scheduled forward appointments, typically over the next 3 to 4 weeks, about the time frame that it covers, he knows he'll hit his goals and objectives. And everything else seems to fall into place. Another one of our advisors, it's 6 referrals, introductions, recommendations, whatever terminology you want to use, that's their critical number. If I can get 6 recommendations a week, I know based on my case size, my closing ratios, all these other metrics, that I will hit my goal. It doesn't matter. Everyone's going to have a different number. The point is, measure your practice. Know your key metrics. Find a number that works that you can at least, ideally, weekly review. Because when you review this weekly, it's going to give you a chance to adapt and modify. If you don't hit your critical number for the week, let's say it was those 6 recommendations, and you only accumulated 4 that week, do you consider driving off the bridge Friday night when you're driving home for the weekend? No. But you know what you're thinking about? You're thinking about, I didn't hit my goal this week, so what am I going to do differently perhaps? And Sunday evening, as you start to re-enter into the work week mindset perhaps, you're starting to think about, all right, and you might look at your calendar. You know what it does? It creates a sense of urgency. And you look in the world of sports, every single play, every single pitch in baseball, is there a winner? Yeah. Is there a loser? Yeah. The defense throws a strike, they win. If they don't, they lose. But it creates a sense of urgency. As the count gets deeper, you know, what occurs? That's what we have to do in our practices. Lastly, the last rule, 6 rules of business, have a target market. Have a target market. It is impossible to be everything to everybody. And you will die an early death trying to accomplish that. You have to figure out that you want to be something to somebody. Don't be everything to everybody. But target marketing that's the best definition I've ever heard. Be something to somebody. Get good at something and do a lot of it. Target market. Moving on. The next one, and for the sake of time, as we're coming up close to the hour here, and I want to do a goal setting exercise, is, and the last one we'll cover today, is number 7, Big Trophy Day. I want to share a personal story with you that I love sharing. Again, thanks for letting me spend some time with you today, and hopefully some of these lessons are applicable in your practices, in your lives, and hopefully You can transfer some of these into your clients' lives. But Big Trophy Day is something that I learned 10 years ago. My son, if you pull out this sheet right here, I'll kind of walk you through the story. And Big Trophy Day is a story about having a vision. Having a vision, having a goal, having purpose. And with that vision, that will propel you to take action. Because you're moved by it. It's motivating. It's inspiring to you. And when you put action, when you put forth energy and effort towards something, you're going to get some results of some kind. It's inevitable. Might not always be the result you want, but you'll get some type of result. So Big Trophy Day is, if you flip it over, my son at the age of 7 was doing karate. And after spending some time in his weekly karate lessons and all that stuff, his karate instructor suggested he go to his first karate tournament. So my wife and I packed up the kids, drove down to his tournament, downtown St. Paul, Minnesota. Got there bright and early, 7:30 in the morning. Why they make these tournaments so early, I have no idea. And we waited for about 3.5 hours for whatever, the 6-7-year-old white belt, yellow belt division competition. And he got in the ring with another young man, and that match was over before it started. My son lost. If it was 10 seconds, I'd be shocked. This other kid threw a few punches, scored a few points, that's it, match over. All right, that was fun. 3 hours of our life we'll never get back. So at the end of the tournament, they gave awards out, and in this encouraging participation trophy generation that we have today, everyone got an award, and my son got a participation award. Literally a little medallion, plastic medallion, and a little plastic marble stand about that big, said participant. But he saw what the winner of the tournament got. And guess what the winner of the tournament got? A big trophy, about that big. So we're driving back home, and he says, Mom, Dad, did you see the trophy that winner got? Yeah, we sure did, Jake. I'm going to get one of those trophies someday. You know, he's going on, and being good, encouraging parents. Jake, absolutely. You keep working hard. One day you'll get one of those big trophies. So get home, and life goes on as usual. Well, something went on in that young man's head that day where the light bulb went on, and over the next couple months, when he was at the karate studio working out in karate practice, he was actually trying. He was actually doing good work. I think my son was the kid that would kind of be a little bit of a class clown every now and then. And his instructor even said that, boy, Jake's been really focused lately. That's great. I never connected the dots. Fast forward the clock, a couple months later, he's got another tournament. It's a Saturday morning. I'm excited for him. I go up to his bedroom bright and early, 6:30, whatever time it was. I'm waking him up. Hey, Jake, time to get up, bud. Guess what today is? I'm asking that question just to see where this 7-year-old head's at, because keep in mind, it's like 6:30 on a Saturday morning. He kind of gets up, he says, Dad, yeah, Dad, it's Big Trophy Day. Yeah, it's Big Trophy Day. I had no idea what he's talking about. No, about 10 minutes later, it dawns on me, this kid's thinking he's getting a big trophy. Well, the financial advisor in me is thinking, if past performance is any indication of future performance, maybe we should just sleep in this morning and hang out at the house. Obviously, I didn't say as a parent, but I'm like, wow, this kid thinks he's getting a big trophy. Well, I hope he does a little better. Well, this picture you see right here at 9 a.m., my wife's taking some photos of him warming up, getting all ready. I guess he was a green belt that time, and you turn over the next page. Well, 5 hours later, look at that. He won 2 trophies that day, 2 big ones. He won first place in the sparring competition for his age group and belt level, and he won first place in the form part of the competition. And over the next day or so, I just thought, my goodness, I learned a real valuable lesson here as I started kind of putting the pieces together, because, all this stuff doesn't come back. But I'm thinking, I remember him saying he wanted to win a big trophy. I wake him up, it's Big Trophy Day, and son of a gun. If a 7-year-old kid can set a goal, have a vision, as superficial as it is, to win a big trophy and go out and accomplish it, what's to prevent us from doing that? You see, we can learn a lot from kids. This is the way we're hardwired, and we've all experienced this. So the question becomes, and I share that story, what's your big trophy day? You have it. There's something that every day you're getting up for. Hopefully you have it. Hopefully you've identified it. And if not, it's a great time of year as we're winding down the year, to really think about what's driving me. What am I deliberately getting up for every single day? Where's my fulfillment? What's my purpose? What's my big trophy day? And you know what we have to ask? We have to ask our clients, what's their big trophy day? Because when we know what our client's big trophy day is, we can help them get there. That's what we do. We're just the vehicle, the vessel to help them accomplish that. So in wrapping up, if you could take a minute, you have a couple pieces of paper in front of you. Here's what I'd ask you to do. Write down 2 goals. The first goal is a professional goal. What is your big trophy day, if you will? What is your number 1 professional goal that you want to accomplish in 2013? What is it? This is your goal. This is not your manager's goal. This is not your spouse's goal, your significant other's goal. This is your goal. What is the number 1 goal where on December 31st, 2013, 54 weeks from now, you can answer the question, it was a great year because I accomplished this. What is it? Whatever it is that motivates you, inspires you. Forget motivates. Whatever it is that inspires you. Then I want you to write down a second goal. And that goal is a personal goal. If you accomplish this, it might be running 26.2 miles. It might be losing 15 pounds. It might be learning a second language. Whatever it is. But there's something probably personally in your life that you want to accomplish in the next year. Well, you got to write it down. First of all, figure out what it is and then write down that paper. And when you're done writing those 2 down, fold it up, throw in an envelope. And put in an envelope to be opened January 1st, 2014. Make sense? Because we're going to start 2013. So a year from now, 2014. So take 2 minutes, 1 personal goal, 1 professional goal, write it down, throw in the envelope. Put January 1st, 2014. And what you're going to do with that envelope is you're going to put that somewhere where you can see it every single day. I keep mine on a bookshelf in my office. As I walk to my desk, there's a bookshelf right by my desk. It sits right there in the corner. It's eye level. Every time I walk behind my desk, I see that envelope. And I'm reminded numerous times throughout the day that how I prioritize my time, all the things we've talked about, the habits I have to form, all this stuff, am I making progress towards those 2 goals which I want to accomplish this year? The other one, to just repeat the exercise, write down your same goals, throw it in the envelope, put down to be open January 1st, 2014. And here's the tough part. Here's the challenge. Write down the person's name in an envelope you're going to give it to. Now, some of you may need to modify a goal perhaps. Maybe you put something down that you're just not comfortable sharing with another person. That's okay. But you get the point. You get the point behind this. And you give it to that person, and you say, hey, I just want to let you know I did this exercise. I wrote down 2 very important goals, the biggest goals for that matter I want to accomplish this year. Will you do me the honor, will you do me the favor on January 1st or sometime in the first week of next year, call me up, reach out to me, grab lunch, depending on your relation, and see how I did on that. That's called accountability. People sometimes, who should you give that to? If you really want to make this work for yourself, consider it giving to the person that you don't want to disappoint in your life, that you respect tremendously. So now you have that envelope you're going to see every single day. It'll help you, hopefully, do some good work and make some progress, knowing that it's a journey. And you're also going to be thinking about someone else is going to open that envelope and check in on this. It's a pretty powerful exercise. Hopefully you took a few things away from today. I congratulate all of you, the tremendous work you're doing. Literally changing lives forever every single day. You should feel great about it. And I congratulate you on your commitment to NAIFA, this industry. It cannot be done without you, without your commitment, without your volunteerism, your passion. And I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. Thank you and God bless.